Alright fans, I'm here to tell you guys good things about you, right? So have you ever felt like people were jealous of you, right? Like you guys know this. You guys are talented, you guys are beautiful, you guys have inner beauty that stands out. You guys know this all. You guys know. You guys know people are so jealous of you and you're just like, oh, and you're like, my goodness, like it looks so pathetic the way you are right now because you're standing there talking about me or doing whatever, and it's like, I don't care. Obviously, I just don't care. So, you're like, okay, like, come on. And then you're like, well, you know what I mean, fans. You guys are great too, right? You're like Melina and Marco. You're totally like us. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And yes. You're like, yes, I recall that person's very, very jealous of me. I'm very upset by that because they're so annoying. But you just have to be like, you know what? Sometimes you're like, okay, they have their small lives, right? Their small lives and very insignificant lives. And you have to let them just do that, right? Because that's how they are, right? So I do feel that I don't have any haters, but sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm so good, and you guys are good too. Right? All my fans, everybody watching this is good. So you know what I'm talking about when you got someone that's like that, and you're like, you know what? You're not messing with me, right? So you guys know all about that, right? Don't you hate it sometimes? And you're like, you know what? I'm not like this on purpose. I'm very lucky to be talented like yourselves. Very lucky to be talented like yourselves out there. And very lucky to look a certain way like yourselves out there, or whatever you have that you've got going on that other people are jealous of, right? So you know what I mean, right, guys? You know, you've been through the drill. You're like, okay, already, like that person's so annoyed by me because I'm good looking and talented, whatever you are, right? Maybe you're rich, maybe you have other talents that maybe I'm not saying. But you know what I mean, right, guys? Like, seriously, right? You're just like, oh my god, I'm so fed up with all that. Anyway, you guys know, right? You guys know. So, Melina obviously gets people that are jealous of her, right? But I mean, you guys are in the same boat as me. You guys have watched my channel. You know what it's like to have people jealous of you. You just do. You know, right? So you're like, oh my god, not again, not again. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is so pathetic. And you're like, that person is so pathetic, and they're only embarrassing themselves. They're really only just embarrassing themselves. And you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean, right, guys, right? So, it's frustrating, but you're just like, okay, well, it doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered by it. It only affects them, it only hurts them. So you're like, okay, like whatever you want to do, that's fine, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, right? So you guys know all full too well about this because you guys are good too. And you guys get people treating you like a certain way, right? You guys know, you guys know. Anyway, I am beautiful and I know it. I'm so happy. All right. So, and you guys are beautiful too. All right. Melina makes you guys stars because you're inspired by her. Now remember, some people don't know what they look like. You might be called that. Like it's seriously true that some people that are good looking are called ugly by people. Like you wouldn't think it's true, but I've heard people actually say it. I've heard people say it to some people. Like they called them names, and then they actually thought they were good looking, and they even said it. They said, "I only said it because I thought they were good looking." I'm like, how is that even something that people do? I just don't get it. It's like when people call people old or whatever. The person looks super young and gorgeous, and they call them old or they call them whatever, and you're like, how does that even make sense? Like that doesn't happen, right? But it does happen, believe it or not. It doesn't happen to me, but it happens to other people, and I see it. I'm like, holy cow! I'm like, oh my goodness! Like, why would you do that? Isn't that embarrassing? Like, when people see you calling them old and stuff, and you're like, that person looks way better than you and is younger than you, right? Like you're just like, okay, like it's silly, but you're like, okay, I guess that person just has to criticize. So yeah, so it's just like really weird. But anyway, it's like being in a totally different time zone or time warp zone or something, or like a another reality kind of thing, and you're just like, okay, that person looks way better than you. Like, don't make fun of them. But I actually heard one girl. She was like, I made fun of that person because they're what did she say? She said because they're good looking. I'm like, well, wouldn't you not make fun of them because you would want good looking people to get along with you, right? Like, you wouldn't want somebody to be good looking and be upset with you. That's what I would think. Like, I want good looking people to like me. but she's always got such low self-esteem that she has to make fun of people that are better than her because she doesn't measure up, and it's like, well, you know, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's just, you guys know all this, right? People judge you, people say things to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's not fair, because I'm not like that at all, right? Alright, totally enjoy, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye now. Click and subscribe.